what football-wise are you going to be on the lookout for? Is it the comings and goings? Is it more of the who does Florida State target, or are you still waiting on a couple of names from this roster to announce? I know we were all devastated to see Zane Herring's taking it on down the road. Anything more to expect here in the next couple of days regarding the football portal?
Yeah, I mean, my guess is you'll see. I still think there'll be a couple guys to leave. I think Mike Norvell said that he was going to be doing his exit interviews this week. So I think anybody who hasn't made the decision to move on might still make the decision to move on. So there's another week of the portal, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple guys go. And then the other big question is what position do they target? You know, we've heard of them maybe looking at some linebackers, and that'll warm your heart. But if they could get, if say they've got two or three spots to fill, I think we all agree it's probably, linebacker, safety, and defensive end are probably the positions where they really need to look at people. But then it's going to come down to, what's available and how attractive they are, because I can't imagine it was a lot more attractive to look at Florida State coming to Florida State a year ago or 2 years ago than probably it does right now, unless you just want to win. But I mean, there's going to be competition. Nobody's going to be guaranteed of a starting job if they come to Florida State at this point. So that's going to be, I'm curious to see who's interested in Florida State at this point, because you're not coming into a team that needs a lot of help. They just need a couple of pieces for depth.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that last hour. It's kind of like it was so much fun when we were the attacker. Right. The portal was our playhouse. It was a lot of fun. We could sit around and be like, well, I want that guy and this guy and that guy, because we needed all of those guys. Florida State needed all of those guys. But as your roster gets filled out to a place where you have functional depth, beyond functional depth, you have, in some cases, you have really high-end depth, where you could say a defensive tackle, for example. I mean, you can rotate 4 or 5 guys in there, all of whom would be starters elsewhere. And so it is going to be harder to find guys that want to enter into that kind of a battle. Yeah, you're right. You really can't maybe envision a place other than maybe safety and linebacker where that would be the case at all.
Yeah, and even there, again, so maybe it's a younger guy, and I think that might be the approach. Is you're not, a year ago, 2 years ago, you were looking for a lot of 3rd, 4th year college football players. Maybe right now you're looking for a guy who's a redshirt freshman who, hey, you're not going to start for us this year, but you'll play, and then maybe in the future you'll be a starter for a team that's one of the top teams in the country. And so that might be the sell more so than the proven Tatum Bethunes and guys like that have played a lot of college football. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And then I think the last thing is, and I'm sure you guys talked about it, is, Florida State is on the other side of it now. And so, everybody's going to be waiting for that portal window to close so that you were able to keep everybody you wanted to keep.
Yeah, I said to Tom that, we were off on Thursday and Friday, and over the weekend, I said, man, it's a wonderfully quiet 4 days. Like in the sense that nobody's announcing, nobody of any significance on the field made any announcements for Florida State. And that is really now where we're at as a fan base. I think you hold your breath because you got good players that other people are going to target.
Without question. I mean, I think if you can hold on to what you've got left, and again, I think there'll be 1 or 2 more departures, but you'd like to hope it'll be guys that, are looking for opportunities to play elsewhere. And it's not just because, they got poached by somebody else. But if you can get through this week, I mean, look, man, Florida State, there's a reason there's so much hype about Florida State. It's because of what they did last December, thanks in large parts of the battle's end, keeping this roster intact. And, again, if you get hit at this point after spring practice, if you lose 1 or 2 impact players, it could have a big change on what our expectations are going into the next season.